As we gather, we pause to recognize that Stanford sits on the ancestral and unceded land of the Muwekma Ohlone tribe. This land was and continues to be of great importance to the Ohlone people. We acknowledge that every member of Stanford has and continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land since the institution's founding in 1885. Consistent with our values of community and diversity, we have a responsibility to acknowledge and make visible the university's relationship to Native peoples. In this spirit of honor and reverence, let us be together.
As we begin these legal studies, in such uncommon and perilous times, physically distant, yet united in our explorations, may we bring a discerning mind and a heart of wisdom. May we care for one another as much as we care for ourselves. May we hold all truth sacred and learn to see beyond the surface. May we use our learning and law for tikkun olam, to repair the brokenness in our world.
Teach us to seek beyond and beneath all the knowledge we pursue. In a world flooded with information and parched for justice, guide our learning, our teaching, our living with courageous loving. Shape our hearts as surely as our minds around the common good, and help us to discover what is most good in all that is most common.
As we move forward together on our path toward learning and understanding, may we remain curious, steadfast, engaged, open-hearted, and open-minded. May all of our efforts yield a greater sense of purpose and justice throughout the world. With open hearts, discerning minds, and compassionate action, may we come together to be all these things and more as seekers of justice and peace for the benefit of humanity.
Hey, Stanford Law School, and a special welcome to the class of 2023. My name's Tony West, and in the years since I graduated from Stanford Law School, I've spent time in both the public and the private sectors. Roughly half of my legal career I spent as a lawyer at the U.S. Department of Justice, most recently serving as the Associate Attorney General of the United States during the Obama administration. And currently, I'm the Chief Legal Officer of Uber, where I lead a global team of about 800 people. And it is really a privilege to be able to talk with you today at this convocation as you embark on what is truly an unprecedented academic year. A global pandemic we've not seen in a century has completely upended your law school experience. The resulting economic disruption has laid bare inequities on a scale not seen since the Great Depression. And we're living through a time of reckoning about race, confronting hard truths about systemic racism and institutional frameworks that have consistently and persistently reinforced unfairness, inequality, and injustice in our society. It's a tumultuous, anxious, and uncertain time. And yet, in the midst of all this change, there is a constant, a source of stability that we look to for guidance, and that is the law. Because history teaches us that when our social order is under stress, when we lose faith in our leaders and the institutions we rely on lack credibility, people often turn to the strength of the law and to lawyers for both reassurance and hope. That's because there's a sense of permanence to the law, a sense of reliability, predictability, a steadiness we yearn for when so much seems to be in flux. Yet it's also true in this moment that we're in, that people are hungry for transformation, seeking a departure from old norms that disenfranchise and exclude. So folks are also turning to the law and to lawyers as instruments to forge change. And soon people will be looking to you for answers. It won't matter whether you're in the public or private sector, at a law firm or a nonprofit, the general counsel of a global company, or a public servant in the halls of government. As minds trained in the law, people will turn to you to help them make sense of this world as it is and to help them imagine what our world can and should be. The only question is, how will you respond? My hope is that you'll respond with empathetic leadership. You see, most of us are pretty good at sympathy. We see somebody who's having a difficult time and we feel some compassion for their plight, and just as quickly we get back to the business of scrolling through our social media feed. But empathy is hard. It's the all too rare ability to walk in the shoes of someone else, to imagine what it's like to experience the world as they do. Empathy requires listening much more than articulating. And it's hard because it pushes us to challenge our own perceptions and our own assumptions. It requires us to embrace, if only for a moment, someone else's perspective. And if we practice empathy well, it sometimes leads us to abandon some of the assumptions we've convinced ourselves are true, and allows us the permission to change our minds. And that's not easy for most of us, especially lawyers. Yet I believe that the training lawyers receive, the education you are receiving, I think that in many ways lends itself to learning how to be an empathetic leader. Because in addition to logic and issue spotting, legal analysis and advocacy, you will have experiences this year that will invite you to consider different points of view, to develop arguments in support of positions you yourself may not hold. But in making the case for those alternative perspectives, you may find yourself settling on a more informed, often more insightful point of view. And that skill, that ability, and the civility it encourages, that's sorely needed today. Our public discourse is broken, populated with siloed points of view that stand in loud opposition to one another. And as legally trained empathetic leaders, as Stanford trained empathetic leaders, if you're lucky, circumstances will sometimes summon you to controversy and invite you to interrupt old patterns by listening, by creating space for understanding, for individual and collective growth, space for lasting progress. And my hope is that you'll accept that invitation whenever it's presented. I wish you all the best for this new academic year, and I thank you for the privilege of talking with you today.
Welcome to Stanford Law School. I'm Rachel Bowanko.
And I'm Casey Shah.
And we are this year's co-presidents of the Stanford Law Association, your student government.
For our incoming students, already a few weeks in, we're grateful you're here, and we're so excited to see you flourish here at SLS. For our returning students, welcome back. We're so excited to continue this journey alongside you.
This year marks only SLS's second convocation, but we're honored to be a part of what we hope is a tradition for the law school. Convocation is a time for us to come together and reflect on our shared goals for the coming year and our individual roles for shaping these goals.
And the year ahead of us will be especially challenging for all of us. But we believe that our community will not only survive, but thrive this coming year. The law school's staff have worked endlessly to translate our resources digitally, and our world-class faculty have adapted their pedagogy for an online environment.
Building community with a diverse group like our student body is difficult even in normal times. And these aren't normal times. A remote environment threatens to keep us siloed in our own physical, mental, and emotional spaces, and dilute the special community we've built here at SLS. So it's worth reflecting on what got us to this point to see how we can sustain it in a radically different environment.
First, our community has been sustained by courage. And courage is just as important, if not more so, in an online environment. Behind a screen, it becomes easier to fade into a crowd, to disappear into an endless collage, and to hide your individual voices. But the form of our interaction need not dampen the spirit of our relationships or the energy that we bring to our common pursuit of knowledge. We believe that our students will bring the full force of their convictions, the full breadth of their experiences, and engage with our community with courage.
That courage can take many forms. Whether it's raising a different idea in the classroom or reaching out to a faculty member you don't know to pursue research. Whether it's calling out injustice and inequity in your environment or pursuing an unconventional job opportunity. This courage does not know the boundaries of a screen. It comes from within us. And if our experience at SLS has shown us anything, it's that we are unyielding when it comes to speaking up and speaking out.
But courage without compassion can lead our community astray. Compassion is the invisible string that connects our community, a source of constant renewal for our intellectual and occupational pursuits. An unrelenting focus on the mental and physical aspects of your education to the detriment of the emotional well-being of you and your peers is unsustainable and counterproductive. Many of the obstacles you will face in the coming year are born from an absence of compassion.
In a quarantined environment, it can be difficult to celebrate your victories and lament your losses. But the solution to this crisis is more compassion, not more seclusion. Take time for yourself, take that walk, visit that park, buy that gift, cook that meal, and commit more time to those around you. Reach out to them, learn from them, and show them the compassion you'd like to receive in return. Whether you're 6 feet apart from one another or one screen away, we hope you lean on each other to get through the year ahead.
Finally, our community is sustained by our curiosity. We are truly an astounding group, hailing from all over the world, speaking several different languages, and having worked in various professions. Our curiosity stems from this diversity, our distinct experiences inevitably colliding in common purpose. It allows us to see new solutions to old problems, to pull ideas from sources of strife, to recognize inefficiencies and inequities in existing systems. Our individual curiosities are the foundation for our collective one.
Now, reading the same passages, briefing the same cases, staying in your own room can make it seem like that curiosity is not valued. But that's the furthest thing from the truth. At SLS, we implore you to be curious. Being your unabashed self, passionately believing in your principles, and pursuing your ideas with rigor and curiosity, that's what got you here, and that's what will help you succeed.
In closing, we'd like to express our gratitude for all of you, from the dean to the staff, to our faculty, to all of our fellow students. Our community is stronger because of you.
We're so excited to start this new year with you all, and we can't wait to see you again in person.
Good afternoon. My name is Haijin Park. I am honored to be part of this year's convocation representing advanced degree students alongside the Office of Religious Life and Dean Martinez. I would like to welcome all of you, both new students and returning students, to the start of new academic year. One good thing come about as a result of the strange time we are now in. I can welcome you from the opposite side of the world, from South Korea. Some of you might be wondering just who the advanced degree students are and what they are here to study. There are 3 large categories of advanced degree programs at Stanford Law School. They include the LLM, SPILS, and the JSD. The LLM degree includes 4 separate programs: corporate governance and practice, environmental law and policy, law, science and technology, and international economic law, business and policy. The SPILS program is an academically oriented master's program, and the JSD, Doctor of the Science of Law, is a 4-year program, so these students might be less visible, but they spend more years at SLS than any other law students do. As it happens, I experienced all 3 of the advanced degree programs at SLS over the last 4 years. Each year I spent at Stanford Law School provided opportunities for exploration along with some challenges. When I first entered the LLM program at Stanford as a seasoned Korean lawyer in 2016, I had no idea I would ultimately pursue a doctorate degree at Stanford Law in 2020. The law school opened up new possibilities and new paths for me that I had never previously imagined. People I met and ideas I encountered at Stanford Law School inspired me to take a leap of faith and to radically change my career track. This year, we find ourselves still facing a health-related emergency. We talk every day a great deal about safety, something that cannot help but affect our daily choices, both consciously and subconsciously. Nonetheless, I'd like to suggest something. Do not always opt for what seems like the safest choice. We do not want to spend the limited time we have at Stanford Law School simply trying to stay safe. Rather, we should endeavor to keep exploring, seek out new and perhaps unconventional ideas, new friends and mentors, and even new paths. Try not to let the ongoing health situation curtail the once-in-a-lifetime opportunities afforded you here at Stanford. Advanced degree students have different backgrounds from those of most of the JD students here. JD students likely have a stronger understanding of the US legal system and might speak better English than we do. And advanced degree students might just have more professional experience and greater knowledge and curiosity about events unfolding outside the United States. But don't forget to put some effort into discovering what makes your fellow students interesting, wonderful, and even unique. This is one type of exploration we should be sure to engage in, no matter the unusual situation we face. And doing so will allow us to truly appreciate the diversity and the richness this small but incredible school has to offer. Thank you.
Welcome to the Stanford Law School Convocation for 2020. Convocation is an event designed to bring together the academic community to start the year, just as commencement marks the end of the school year. This is only the second annual convocation at SLS. Although Stanford has a university-wide convocation, it usually conflicts with our class schedule, and so last year we decided to start our own. A year ago, students from all years and programs, faculty and staff, were gathered together under one roof to reflect and celebrate the beginning of the academic year. As we sat packed together in an auditorium, I don't think any of us could have imagined what our lives would be like a year later. More than 6 months into life in a pandemic lockdown, engaging with the world through our laptop screens, with the country in a serious economic crisis, and also in the midst of an overdue reckoning with issues of racial discrimination in law and society. And here we find ourselves at the start of an unprecedented academic year, where building community is both more difficult and more important than ever. By gathering together today in this convocation, I hope we can begin the year with that sense of community that will sustain us through the difficult months ahead. Who are we? Here at SLS, we have 65 full-time faculty members, whose research and teaching mark them as national and international leaders in their fields. Whether publishing path-breaking scholarship or mentoring students one-on-one, we have the best law faculty in the world. We have a number of lecturers, full and part-time, who bring their practical legal expertise to the classroom and contribute to the unparalleled legal education that we provide. Our 194 staff members keep this place running and provide vital intellectual and professional leadership in support of the school's research and teaching missions. We have research fellows, data scientists, librarians, IT experts, custodial staff, career counselors, administrative assistants, web designers, and so many other experienced professionals. Some members of our staff have been here for over 40 years and have helped us adapt to the ever-changing educational and professional landscape over decades. As for our students, you're an astonishing group, and consistently through the years have hailed from all over the country and the world. This year, 615 of you will study at SLS, 575 JD students, and 40 international graduate students in your ranks. You're from nearly every state in the US, as well as many countries around the globe. You speak languages ranging from Arabic to Farsi, to Malagasy, to Romanian, to Twi, to Urdu. You're equally skilled in an impressive number of computer programming languages. You're graced with athletic skills. Among your ranks are swimmers, soccer players, runners, long distance, ultramarathoners, sprinters, and every other distance in between. Volleyball players, cyclists, ultimate frisbee players, skiers, scuba divers, snowboarders, basketball players from pickup games to college teams to professional players in Spain, Hungary, and Israel. You thrive outdoors. Hiking, backpacking, mountaineering, rock climbing, road tripping, and backcountry canoeing are just some of your interests. You are talented musicians. You're volunteers. You have a love for board games, crossword puzzles, baking, cooking, juggling, and yoga. In your pre-SLS life, you were consultants, analysts, debaters, project managers, patent agents, managers, legal assistants, health advocates, writers and reporters, military veterans, labor organizers, paralegals, camp counselors, press aides, and press secretaries, teachers, engineers, researchers, political field organizers, mediators, homelessness advocates, research scientists, trained EMT responders, computer programmers, local and state politicians, and for those of you pursuing advanced degrees with us, attorneys and policymakers in specialty fields in your home countries. You are a diverse bunch with many different backgrounds, identities, viewpoints, and beliefs. You all have a few things in common though. First, you've chosen to bring your energy and ideas here to SLS to learn together before launching into the next phase of your career. Second, by choosing law school, you've chosen to believe that law matters, that it can make people's lives better or worse, and by entering the legal profession, a commitment to do your part to make the legal system work better for your future clients and for society. It's easy in this day and age to be cynical about the role of lawyers, but what drew me to law was the idea that the rule of law is fundamental to human flourishing, and that lawyers play an indispensable role in society in supporting the rule of law. From the prosecutor or public defender who works to ensure that those accused of crimes are given a fair trial, to the business lawyer who helps companies grow with security and predictability about their legal rights and obligations so that they can provide products and services that people want and need. Lawyers do often invisible work in building a culture of compliance with norms and values embodied in the legal system in which they work. In the past few years, as I've thought about the challenges facing society, issues like persistent racial inequality, climate change, migration and refugee issues, questions of free speech and democracy in the age of Facebook and Google, and the role of new technologies like artificial intelligence, two things have become increasingly apparent. First, lawyers have a vital role to play in helping our societies and legal system adequately respond to these issues. And second, that lawyers cannot do this by working only with other lawyers or sitting alone in their offices thinking about these issues. Instead, these issues can only be adequately addressed by lawyers working with those clients out in the world who are affected by these laws and policies and centering the voices of those clients. And by working with those from other disciplines, engineers, scientists, business people, economists, historians, and others. We do that here at SLS through the work of our clinics, our research centers, and policy labs, all of which are grounded in understanding and contributing to the world. Take an issue like climate change. We need to train our environmental law students not only in today's statutes and regulations, but to look at issues like how clean energy can be developed and financed in the private sector or with government support, how global warming will affect people, the landscape, and the economy in different areas, and how legal regimes can either mitigate or exacerbate these effects. Similarly, a thorough knowledge of history is important to understand the ways in which law and legal institutions have been too often complicit in creating the structural framework that undergirds the lasting racial inequality in our country. From the ways in which our Constitution and laws supported the enslavement of Black people, to segregation and disenfranchisement in the post-Reconstruction era, to discriminatory policies around real property that have fueled lasting wealth inequality, to contemporary criminal justice, voting rights, and other issues. We can't ensure a better future without understanding our past. At this critical juncture in addressing so many difficult questions as a society, as government and politics are increasingly polarized and dysfunctional, I believe places like Stanford have a profoundly important role to play in bringing together expertise from across disciplines to create and disseminate evidence-based knowledge and solutions, and to train the next generation to help society grapple with these problems. Stanford is particularly, perhaps uniquely well situated to meet that challenge. Stanford law students are not just here to become competent lawyers, but leaders in the profession. To achieve this, SLS must offer all of you the skills needed to flourish. This includes not only knowledge of the law and legal reasoning, but awareness of systemic legal failure. Not only skills such as legal research and writing, but the cognitive and emotional skills needed to mediate conflicts, to hear divergent viewpoints, and to express your own and advocate on your clients on terms that enhance rather than diminish understanding. These issues are central both to our educational mission and to the future of the profession. The ability to express and navigate difference is not simply a lawyering skill, it is the very essence of the rule of law in a pluralistic society. In the very difficult circumstances in which we find ourselves this year, dealing with one another with generosity, courage, and compassion is more important than ever. As hard as this moment is, in your lives and the lives of this country and world, I'm still filled with optimism. When I think about all the passion and excitement that our students bring and the knowledge, wisdom, and experience of our faculty and staff, I know we have so much to contribute to the world. The work you will do this year is important, not only to your own careers, but to the world, to all those our students will serve through their work as advocates, counselors, and leaders, to our community, our country, and the globe. As you engage in study, research, and work this year, I hope you will keep that bigger picture in mind, of the vital role of the rule of law in flourishing societies, and the role of lawyers in protecting and promoting the rule of law, fairness, equality, and respect for human dignity. I wish you the very best in the coming year and beyond.
As this moment comes to a close, we turn toward the year unfolding before us. In the days and weeks and months to come, may we cultivate a passionate love of learning, allowing curiosity to lead us in our common quest for knowledge. May we have the courage to both speak and to listen, to engage difficult conversations with a willingness to learn and sometimes be wrong. May we do more than simply survive. May we thrive, growing and flourishing in unexpected ways, not only as individuals, but as a diverse, beloved community. And may our tireless pursuit of the good expand the radius of our empathy, that compassion itself becomes the very ground of our being. This year and all years, may it be so. Amen.
Where the rolling foothills rise up towards mountains higher, where at eve the coast range lies in the sunset fire, flushing deep and paling. Here we raise our voices, hailing thee, our alma mater. From the foothills to the bay, it shall ring as we sing. It shall ring and float away. Hail, Stanford Hail.